Alright, we're here with a Pyware tutorial. Today we're talking about how to animate pulling out fabric. So I've got a little setup here. Imagine the band at the end of their show doing their big final push, and out of this center prop, whatever it might be, I just used a box. They're going to pull fabric out and down to the front sideline. So I've just got the setup here. It's a 24 count move. The band will, of course, play their big hit and float forward while this fabric will run down to the front. Okay, so all I've created so far is the prop that's been there and the drill. And I've got my setup where I've got these two flute players back here that are going to pull the fabric out of the prop and down to the side. And that should look really good. But I haven't created the fabric yet. So that's the first step. The first step is to creating the fabric. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is do that. So let's go to count 0. I'm going to be at a half step resolution. I'm just going to use the dot tool. And I'm just going to plunk two dots here inside this, two performers inside this prop. So now if you look at it, it looks like there's two people standing there, but we're going to change them to fabric. So I'm going to do one at a time. Change you. Well, actually, I can do both. And I go to my Performer Prop tool, Visuals, Performer Prop, Shape Prop, Panel Flat, like flat on the ground. And I'm going to make their length 0. Their width we'll use maybe 1 meter, so about 3 feet. And then you don't have to worry about height because it's flat on the ground. Apply changes. And then I got to do these separately. I got to change their facing to be at the diagonal. That way it can kind of follow the curvature or the same direction as the prop. All right, so now you see, because there's no length to it, there's really nothing there on the field. So essentially how fabrics are created to look like they're pulled is a kind of a tedious process of going count by count. So it's no fun, but it is cool when you see the result. So the first thing we need to do is we need to animate the performers. So I'm going to have these flute players. I'm going to animate them to run around here in 2 counts and grab the fabric and then run for 22 counts down to the front. So I'm using my anchors here. I'm just going to go 2 counts, grab my flute player in the back. I'm going to use the track tool. So they'll animate coming around the prop. And yes, it'll tell me that they're running. This is big time, 4 to 5 steps, but this is okay. This is not marching. This is a big effect at the end, so they can run. I'm going to drag my yellow anchor to replace my red and run it to the end of the move. Now, I've already practiced this, so my flute player popped back to where they were, but there we go. So now from here, I'm going to use the push tool, and I'm just going to run that person down to the front, making sure that they stay at the diagonal the whole time. And it says 3 to 5. That's okay. It's going to be a long piece of fabric. Now you have to know, of course, how long your client's fabric is, going to be ordered, or maybe you can design it and then tell them. It's just really important that you know that. So now the reason we do this first is so that when we go over this and we scrub this as we're changing the length of the fabric, we know how long it has to go to match the performer running to the front. If we did it the other way around and we did the fabric first, you wouldn't be able to have those checkpoints. So it's really important to animate those people manipulating the fabric first. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I've got 2 counts here, track tool, bring my flute player around, 22 counts, run them to the front. I like to do it this way just so I can see. It takes them to the 25. I'm at the diagonal. Good, accept. So now we have our checkpoints for what we need to do to get this fabric to the front. And you can see that they're going to be running like crazy to the front with this fabric, which will be really cool. Let's also do this. I'm going to highlight them for the whole move, and I'm going to say face the direction of movement. All right, so now they'll be doing that. All right, so let's go do it. Now I'll show you the steps on one side, and then I'll do the rest of it and speed it up in this video so that you don't have to sit here and watch it over and over again, and it'd be super tedious. But that should give you an idea of how you can use changing the length of things over counts in order to make the effect of pulling the fabric. All right, so here we go. 2 counts. We're dead counts, the fabric doesn't move for the flutes to get into position, and then we go 1 count at a time. So I'm on count 3 of the move. So I'll highlight my fabric. I'll have to do 1 at a time. And you can just keep this window open as you go. So essentially we got to get the fabric from here to our performer. So let's change the length to 3. Oh, I did 33. 3 is going to be too long, so let's do 2. And then you have to modify its position. So use the push editing tool. So technically it's going to move a bit. So let's do the other side. Okay, good. We want it to be about the same, you know, almost up to the performer. Good, next count. So I'll do this for a couple counts for you. And you usually come up with a formula. So I'll add 1.5 for every count and see if that makes it happen for me. Looks like that's gonna make it happen for me. If I add 1.5 to every count, oh sorry, so it's 3.5, then it'll look about the same. The most important thing is we don't want this edge back here to ever disappear from the prop. That way it'll look like it never moved, it just got longer. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this process over and over again for the next 20 counts, and by the end of it, I'll speed it up. By the end of it, you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to do that now. Looks pretty good. So you can see how having the performers animate that can really highlight when you are delivering the drill to the client, highlight how cool it will look and how you know, it looks in real time. I think I always get people that ask me, do you really have to animate it? You know, can't they just you know, get the drill and just understand that it's going to work? Well, yes, but a lot of times it's really nice to see the video, and it's nice to see you know, how practically it's going to look. And you know, obviously if I had percussion and color guard as well around this, you'd want to see you know, how much time they have to get out of the way of the fabric, this type of thing. You know, it's important at least to know the skill of animating the fabric, because if you're going to have those effects in your shows, then you can at least deliver that to the client when they do ask for it. So I hope this was helpful. It's a very tedious process, of course, but it does kind of make that magic kind of come to life when you're delivering that drill to your client. And I think they're really gonna appreciate the fact that you went through the process of adding that animation in.
Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like these Pyware videos.